If we could start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the August 6th, 2015 meeting for the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair of the board, also representing District 2. Joining me today is Commissioner Bob Archer, representing District 3.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Commissioner Shelley Bueller, representing District 1. Good morning. Good morning. Madam Clerk, if we could start with our first item.
First item is under proclamations presentation regarding the Parkland Acquisition and Development Fee and Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Terry Burgles, Parks and Recreation. This morning, I wanted to do just a kind of a brief tutorial on, or maybe refresher on what is the Parkland Acquisition and Development Fee and Fund and how it relates to county government, how it relates to Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. We can't have a presentation from Parks and Recreation without referring to the master plan, so part of the master plan does address funding opportunities and the need to enhance our funding options. One of those options is impact fees. The paragraph at the bottom refers directly to the master plan and addresses the fact we have current deficiencies in certain parts of the county, and we're working to enhance those. And it addresses a number of areas where we have those deficiencies, and then refers to a couple of cities that are nearby that have impact fees that relate to development of parks, Overland Park and Olathe, that have had impact fees in place for over 20 years to enhance their revenue stream in Parks and Recreation. So really, we're just kind of on par with this fee, and we'll get into more about the fee as we go along. An overview: the fund is an example of an impact fee which has been established for some time. It is an element of the City of Topeka Parks and Open Space Plan, and some of you might be familiar with the Parks and Open Space Plan. It's an element of that, and then further, the Parks and Open Space Plan is an element of the Topeka Comprehensive Plan, which I understand has recently been amended. The Parkland Acquisition Development Fee and Fund are established by city ordinance. This is a city ordinance that they govern, and as a result of the consolidation of the Parks and Recreation Departments, we're the recipient of the funds, but it's still an ordinance and a collection that's done by the City of Topeka. The ordinance, the fees are collected at the time of permits. So developer goes in, and I have a map here in just a minute we'll get to, but developer has a subdivision he's looking to develop, and there are certain fees that go along with that, and one of those is a Parkland Acquisition and Development Fee. And then that says annually. I think it might be more often than annually that it's provided or sent to us and then kept by us for use for its stated purposes. This is a map. I'm going to hand out a couple.
Thank you, Terry.
And that's so that maybe I won't have to flip back and forth quite so often, but it doesn't show all the detail that this map shows. This is a map that shows the different districts that make up the Parkland fee. You'll notice that there's 7 different districts, and there's a couple of things of note. One, it's kind of confusing when it relates to the city council district map, because for those of you who are somewhat familiar or very familiar with the council district map, there are some similarities, but those are just coincidental. The districts here in no way relate to the council districts. They're separate and distinct districts, but they do get a little bit confusing from time to time. If you look to the legend with the trees, the little conifer trees. That relates to the relative health, neighborhood health of for parks. So that 1 tree means a neighborhood is intensive care. That means there's not many parks. 2 tree means the neighborhood is at risk. 3 is outpatient, and 4 is healthy. So if you look at the map and kind of see what's going on up there, you look at district number 6, and it's very much in intensive care. We've got one district, number 5, that's healthy. And if you think about where the parks are, you think, yeah, there's an awful lot of parks in that geographic area. District 1, 7, and 3, kind of on the outskirts of town, not so much, not all outpatient, and then 2 and 4, which are at risk. And if you think about the parks and how they lay out across town, and then kind of relate it back to our quadrants 1 through 4 in the master plan, they're all saying the same thing. We have a lot of parks in the central part of town, and as the further we get away from that central core, the fewer parks that we have until we get out to the extremes where we have almost no parks at all. So that, again, those relate directly to the health of the neighborhood relevant to acres of park per 1,000 people. If you look at the box, the square box on the right-hand side, those are the districts and the names of the districts and the amount of fee that's associated with that district. And again, it's tied to neighborhood health relevant to parks. So if you look at district number 5, there's a $75 building permit surcharge, if you will, impact fee. It corresponds obviously to a neighborhood that's very healthy in parks. So they have a much lower cost when they pull that building permit than, say, District 6, which is in intensive care at $300 for a permit. So it ties directly back to the health of that neighborhood relevant to parks per 1,000 people. But then if you look to the small rectangular box on the left side and the stars on the map, Horseshoe Bend, Lawrence Bay Estates, and Sherwood Park. At the time of the plat, a developer has an opportunity to dedicate some ground for public use. If they do that, and if it's accepted by Parks and Recreation and the Board of County Commissioners, then that can reduce the burden of the builders, the home builders, or the home owners when it comes time to pull that permit. So that if you look at Horseshoe Bend, their permit in that subdivision, their impact fee is $141 versus $225. Lawrence Bay Estates, not the whole Lawrence Bay, but just that subdivision that is Lawrence Bay Estates, their permit fee, impact fee is $188 versus $300. And that's because the developers in those areas chose to set aside or dedicate land for public use. And each of the people that live in those subdivisions then have a lower impact fee. Any questions about this map?
Questions, commissioners? No? Thank you, Terry.
Now, I'm going to get into a little bit about the fund balances. This isn't a windfall by any means. It's not bad, but it doesn't generate hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for the department. It's tied back directly to the number of building permits that are issued, and you guys know better than me how many that is, and certainly planning and public works would know. But if you look at the districts, in 2012, we had a pretty good sum of money because it had collected for a while, but we spent some towards the end of 2011 that then showed up during 2012. So there's a decrease in most areas, most districts, from 2012 to 2013, with a couple of exceptions. Take from 2013 to 2014, we haven't spent any money from the fund in that period of time. District 1 went up slightly, and it's higher, it's elevated all along because of a couple of large apartment complexes that were built up there that had a higher fee associated with those. So it's been up all along. You look at District 2, it went up about $500, and again, if you refer to the district map, District 2 doesn't have, well, you can probably guess there's not a whole lot of homes being built in District 2 because it's already built out for the most part. There's going to be a few building permits that are pulled, but not a lot. So we had a relatively small increase, and it's a relatively, it is a small amount of money to begin with. The same with District 3. District 3, a few more buildings, homes being built out that way because it goes quite a ways west and there's some development going on out there. And remember that some of those homes that are being built are in the Sherwood Park area, so they pay a lower impact fee than others. District 4, small number again, small increase, healthy neighborhood, low impact fee. District 5, no change at all. No building permits pulled, very healthy neighborhood relevant to parks. District 6, which is, we'll talk about later on in the agenda, starts out with a relatively high amount of money, and it had the biggest increase from 13 to 14. I think you can probably know and tell by the neighborhood that you're going to have a few more building permits pulled at that location. And again, there's a number of subdivisions out there that are being built out, and Lawrence Bay Estates is only one of those, so only one of those subdivisions is going to have a lower fee associated with it. And then District 7, a little bit of a change, and it kind of stays about in the $20,000 range, but they too have a subdivision that has a lower impact fee. So the bottom line is the balance as it stands right now is $236,510. I shouldn't say right now because we may have gotten some in, but the last time I checked not too long ago it was $236,510, and we had a total increase from 13 to 14 of $16,001. There's a few things that you need to know about how we can use this money. The funds must be spent in the district in which they're collected. Now, I was involved in the development of the ordinance and the development of the districts, and I'll tell you that at one time there were 16 or 32, I can't remember how many districts there were, and we can't have that many districts. You're going to water the money down so far you can't do anything in any one district. So we settled on 7. So the funds are collected and then put aside into a separate fund by district with the city of Topeka, and then when they're sent to Shawnee County, the same happens. They're set aside by district for use in that district only, and that's by ordinance that has to be that way. The fees that we collect can only be used for the acquisition and improvement of new or undeveloped parkland, and an important component of that is that includes the improvement of an undeveloped land within existing parkland. So let's use one of our items on the agenda. Lawrence Bay Park is an existing park, but it's not developed out. So we can spend that money on developing an undeveloped portion of that park, but we can't spend it on the next item on maintenance. We can't take a play structure that's existing and repair it with this money. It's for the acquisition and development of parks. So the item we have on the agenda later on, it's for the development of the existing park. It's not for any type of maintenance item. Those are really kind of the upshots of the ordinance and the way that we're bound by using it. Any questions regarding any of those?
Jerry, you've talked about the city of Topeka, and that this is a fee that's collected by the city of Topeka from the builders at the time of the construction. Does Shawnee County have any comparable, so that if I'm building outside of the city of Topeka, that there's a parkland acquisition fund?
No, and that's a very good question. I went back and forth about bringing that up. It's something that we could consider, because right now we are Shawnee County Parks and Recreation, but this ordinance applies only to the city limits of the city of Topeka. So no, to my knowledge, the county does not have a comparable.
I mean, we've talked about the development of biking trails, connecting paths, connecting us to meet you there, to tie into your tagline of meeting you there. But is there a reason that we haven't looked at that previously? Is it made our own districts for the county?
No, not other than with consolidation and the master plan. We've been pretty busy trying to get our hands around those. It's something that we probably need to, well, not probably, we need to to consider and bring before this board.
Okay. Questions for Terry? Commissioner Archer?
Yeah, last year we had talked with the neighbors in Holiday Park about making, would this money have been available for Holiday Park?
Let's see, let's look at Holiday Park.
Okay.
Holiday Park,
You're going to be in District 4.
in District 4.
Mhm.
Probably the portion of the improvements that were done on the point would have qualified. We could have spent a whopping $700 on those improvements. But yes, I think that portion of that improvement would have
Okay.
qualified.
It would have, well,
Yes.
I think that option should have been at least discussed at the time. It would have been helpful. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I think this is helpful for us to know about all of the intricacies that we have between the city and the county, and as we are still, going through. We talked about the merger having occurred years ago, but there are still elements of the merger that are ongoing.
Right.
So,
And this is a delicate balance of this is for the city of Topeka, but we're serving Shawnee County as a whole. And we recognize it, that it'd be nice to be able to go outside of the city of Topeka, but this ordinance restricts us to that only.
and I know that in talking with our audit finance director, I'm often reminded you may have money for the development, but how much is that going to cost you next year and the year after
Right.
and the year after? And how much are you willing to budget for in perpetuity to maintain it? And so
Right.
those are always good things to think about fiscally. And our director of audit finance is always reminding us of how much it is important to plan for the future.
Well, and lastly, I wanted to point out the two items that are close at hand regarding the Park Acquisition and Development Fee Fund. Lawrence Bay, which is on for consideration later in this meeting, and then Shawnee County North Community Park, and our grant that we're still waiting to hear a final approval from the National Park Service. The money in that District 1 has been earmarked for our matching dollars for that trail up there. And that's all I've got.
Commissioner Archer?
Well, the only thing I was going to say was this validates the master plan that says that the Southwest is underserved in Parks and Rec amenities, in parkland development. It's just underserved. So, thank you for the
Thank you.
presentation. I thought it was helpful. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chair.
Terry, one last question before you go on.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Go
absolutely.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, seriously.
District 1, the Shawnee County, the North Park improvements. If you have an existing building that needs to have modifications to it, or maybe updates to bring it up to current standards, would that be maintenance or is that an improvement?
I think I'd probably want to solicit the advice of our counselor.
Okay, but that's what we
Good
would,
idea.
that's what we would look at for those sorts of things?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And my question was kind of in line with that. If you have a piece of, a swing or something that needs repair, or maybe it needs to be replaced. So if it needs to be replaced, you can use these funds.
Yes. Well, that's where it gets a little dicey, because
Okay.
it can be replaced, but and it gets a little silly, because it can be replaced, it just can't be replaced right there. It can be replaced over here. And we've
Needs to
got,
be moved.
we've got many, and I don't mean to make short of that. We have many instances like that where we have park equipment that's outdated that needs to be
Yeah.
replaced.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's right here or right here, but it needs to be replaced. If it's right here, we can do it with parkland acquisition and development fee money. If it's right here, we have to do it with operating budget.
Okay, okay. Well, and I was just gonna say, I mean, this would be some discussion maybe around comprehensive plan in the unincorporated areas of the county in conjunction with the planning department. If we would look at other districts outside the city limits and whether they would, play a role in future funding of projects. And I think in the master plan, it's also noted about recreation districts, correct? About different ways that communities fund their parks and recreation throughout their community. So, it brings up even more questions.
Right.
So more possibilities, actually.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Terry.
Yep.
Our next item.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Are there any questions or comments regarding the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda is presented.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Archer. There's seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Next item.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
The vouchers are totaling $892,334.78. I might note there are 10.5 pages with district court for juror pay. $363,998 for capers. Holding accounts with the state, $168,382.26. And then special with Public Works, special projects, $78,742.77. Move approval.
Second.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Bueller for approval of the vouchers, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Next item.
There are no correction orders today.
Next item.
Item B, Counselor, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 297-2015 with Grace Med Health Clinic, Inc., expressing Shawnee County's intent to transfer the operation of its federally qualified health center to Grace Med Health Clinic, Inc., along with transfer of the 330 grant for the continued operation of an FQHC in Shawnee County.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ashley Biegert, Assistant County Counselor. This is an agreement between Shawnee County and Grace Med that indicates the parties' intention to transfer the operation of the federally qualified health center from Shawnee County to Grace Med effective January 1, 2016. Specifically, this agreement relates to the parties' intent to transfer the county's 330 grant to Grace Med as of January 1. HRSA is the federal agency that administers that grant, and prior to any organizational change taking place, they have to give their stamp of approval. In doing so, they've requested a number of items to review, and this is one of those items that they have requested. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions regarding this item? I don't have any questions. I just might note that this is one of many steps that we've been making for the safety net and for the merger with Grace Med in the future. So, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Next item.
Item B2, consider resolution number 2015-65, expressing Shawnee County's intent to transfer the assets necessary for the operation of the federally qualified health center to Grace Med Health Clinic, Inc. as of January 1, 2016.
Ashley Biegert, Assistant County Counselor again. Commissioners, this is another one of those items that HRSA is requiring to review in their approval of the organizational change. It is a resolution of intent indicating that upon their approval of the transfer of the grant, the county intends to transfer the assets necessary to operate the FQHC to Grace Med. Specifics regarding what assets and how that will take place will come later. This again is just part of those documents that need to go to HRSA to get their approval of the change.
Any questions regarding this item?
Move to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer for approval, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Ashley. Next item.
Item B3, consider authorization and execution of contract C 298-2015, settlement and release of U.S. District Court case number 2015-CV-4006, Shawnee County, Kansas versus Daimler Trucks North America, LLC, Omaha Truck Center, Inc., DBA Kansas Truck Center, and the Scranton Manufacturing Company, Inc., for the sum of $75,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jonathan Berzon, Assistant County Counselor. As you know, we've had 2 of our refuse trucks experience fires. One of those trucks was completely destroyed. Another one, the fire was pretty minor and is repairable. We filed suit. The suit was removed to federal court. There's 4 defendants in the case. This represents a settlement offer from one of the 4 defendants, Scranton Manufacturing. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
For the benefit of the public, after extensive discussions with counsel on Monday during executive session outlining the suit and the settlement, I would move for approval of the settlement.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Item C, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider approval of a request to solicit bids for improvements to Lawrence Bay Park.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. Excuse me. This item that the clerk just read directly ties to the presentation that Mr. Bertles just gave earlier today. The main reason I wanted to have that presentation this morning was to kind of highlight how confusing this can get with City Council District, County Commission District, Quadrant District, all of those type of things. And to prove how confusing that is, there was a typo in my memo, and I have that replaced. The one sitting in front of you now is the corrected version. But with that being said, this is, and Terry did a great job of highlighting that this is truly the beginning of a partnership with the city of Topeka of how they can help with their parks to continue to develop and grow. And as evidence of that, the council person for the district, Elaine Schwartz, is here too. I don't know if she has some things she'd like to say or just wants to see if it progresses or not. But this is a project in which we can come in. I think Terry touched on it. We can use that Parkland Acquisition Development Fee Fund and put monies back into Lawrence Bay Park through that fund. With that being said, I'd be happy to answer any other kind of questions you may have. But Terry Bertles is here if you have any detailed questions about what that item would be.
Any questions for John regarding this item?
I'll move to approve the request and thank you for addressing us. It's important and appreciated.
Second.
I would agree that this is, thank you, John, for having Terry come and make sure that we understand. But as so stated earlier, one of the items that I'm sure that we will all be looking for is not just the improvement today, but the cost to the county in the future, and making sure that we are able to commit to whatever it is for a long range and plan. So,
Oh, absolutely.
motion made by Commissioner Archer for approval, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Next item.
Item C2, consider authorization and execution of Contract C 299-2015 with the City of Topeka for Parks and Recreation use of the Police Athletic League van in exchange for the use of the Oakland Community Center for the PAL basketball program.
Commissioners, this is another contract that's directly related to our burgeoning partnership with the City of Topeka. They own the van. They allow us to use that van and store it at our Oakland Community Center. The first priority goes to the police athletic leagues. When they're not using it, then Parks and Recreation uses it. This is a contract that spells that out.
Any questions regarding the item? Motion made by Commissioner Bueller for approval. Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Next item.
Item C3, consider authorization and execution of Contract C 300-2015 with Professional Engineering Consultants PA for design services for the repair and maintenance of the Lake Shawnee spillway at a cost of $27,500.
Commissioners, this is a project that's been in the works for quite a while. It is just the culmination of the negotiations for that contract for PEC to do that work. Lake Shawnee is a high hazard dam, and this stuff needs to be done every 3 years. And the only thing that I could have done better was to do it during the drought time. Now the lake is completely full, but still we can still get the work done.
Any questions regarding? I'll second. Commissioner Bueller made the request for the approval. Commissioner Cook seconded. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Next item.
Item C4, consider authorization and execution of Contract C 301-2015 with the Army Corps of Engineers, allowing the Army Corps of Engineers to gain access to county-owned parklands along the Shunganunga Creek to perform investigative actions to determine soil composition at each site to mitigate flooding problems along the Shunganunga Creek through Topeka.
Commissioners, this is a contract that allows the Army Corps of Engineers to come on park property, do the necessary surveying, soil samples, those type of things for the project that they're working on to mitigate any kind of flood control, flood damage for the Shunganunga Creek.
Any questions regarding this item?
Move to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion to approval by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Next item.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, John.
Item D, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of request to purchase additional traffic paint needs for 2015 maintenance needs for the from the Kansas Correctional Industries through the State of Kansas purchasing contract at a cost of $115,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Block, Public Works and Solid Waste. As you recall, a week or two ago, I made a request to purchase paint from KCI for some work we are currently doing. I would like to be able to purchase all of our paint from them, as we have done in past years, through KCI. The reason we had changed it up a little bit this year, we had some interest from some other companies last year about wanting to potentially sell us paint, so we are going to entertain that. When we went out and spoke with them, we got no response. So I'm making this request that we essentially buy all our paint from KCI via the state contract, like we've done in the past, ever since I've been here and prior to that. The $115,000 is what is remaining and what we had budgeted. From the memo I put together at the beginning of the year, we had anticipated about $140,000 in paint. This $115,000 is the remaining of that $140,000 from the previous approval that the Commission gave a couple weeks ago. So it is with that, I'm making that request. The funding would come from our Public Works Road Maintenance Fund, and this should have no impacts to our budget. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Tom, you've been happy with the product so far from the vendor?
Yes, we have been.
And you have no concerns with us using it in the future for its quality or?
No, like I said, we've used it ever since I've been here, and I know prior to that. So it's been at least, I'd say, well over a decade that we've been using it.
Any questions regarding this item? I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item E, Commission. Number 1, consider approval of Resolution Number 2015-66, setting the 2016 holiday schedule.
This is a annual resolution that comes before the Commission regarding the holiday schedule for 2016 of recognized holidays. I would make a motion to approve the holiday schedule.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Next item.
Item E2, consider approval of Resolution Number 2015-67, amending Resolution 2014-110 to remove the County Counselor from the Administrative Services Division and reporting directly to the Board of County Commissioners.
This is a resolution that is coming before the Commission for its consideration. Last year, we had changed the reporting duties of the counselor to report directly to Administrative Services Division, Betty Greiner. Over the last year, I think that everyone would agree it's become somewhat problematic with the reporting due to attorney-client confidentiality. That confidentiality would be breached if that information was shared with Director Greiner, then to share with the commissioners each individually. So given the conflict with the attorney-client confidentiality, this resolution would clear that up, where the counselor does report directly to the commission. However, I would note that I anticipate, and I'm directing that the counselor still participate with the Administrative Services Division himself. I think we found that to be very helpful in coordinating county projects. Is there any other discussion on the resolution? I'll make a motion then to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Next item.
Item E3, discussion of the 2016 budget.
Good morning. Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services. As we begin our process of coming down to a final budget. I have a spreadsheet here that I'll kind of walk through briefly. This is very similar to the sheets that were handed out at the public hearing, but this is actually an Excel spreadsheet that we can actually make changes to and calculations. As you'll see, each department is listed separately, or any organization that's requesting funds. Then they are grouped by category, such as administrative services, public safety, public health, and so on. The columns, we start out with columns for the actual expenditures for 2012, 13, and 14. We then have a column for the budget for 2015. The 2016 request, that is the requests that were submitted by the departments or by the organizations. The next column is I've labeled 2015 budget adjusted, and that is adjusted for several things. First of all, that I have taken the 2015 budget, decreased it for the additional pay period that we have in 2015, and then I've increased it for the 2015 wage increases. You know, when we gave the increases for 2015, they were on anniversary dates. So, you know, as a whole, that was probably about half of the year, and so I've adjusted those so they cover the full year of 2016. This is what I would consider to be our flat budget. Also, the items for general expenses, special liability funds, and the debt service, those have been adjusted to the needs for 2016. The elections office, their adjusted budget is actually based on the 2014 budget, and then plus the 2005 wage increases, because as you know, the election office is really on a 2-year cycle as far as the main elections. So as I said, this is what I would consider a flat budget for 2016. So that will be our starting point for our adjustments for 2016. Then the next column it's labeled BCC adjustments. That is the decisions that you will make as a commission to where to increase or decrease from that flat budget. And then these adjustments will go into the 2016 final column. So that will be the flat budget column plus any adjustments will total that 2016 column. I've also added a column here that says the percentage increase. That would be the percentage increase from the flat budget to the final. And then by category, I have a percentage of the total budget. So it shows the percentage of the total budget by category. Say, you know, how much of the budget is going to public safety or public works, that type of thing. Then as we scroll down here, at the very end of the worksheet, I have the mill levy information. This will have a estimated mill levy calculation. I say estimated because the county clerk actually establishes the final mill levy. But this will take our total expenditures here. I have estimated our non-levy revenue, so I deduct that from our budget needs, and then I add to that the rebates for the neighborhood revitalization. Those will have to be paid out, so I add that back. I add back our expected tax delinquencies. I've used 1.4% because that is revenue that we anticipate will not be coming in. So this comes down to what our levied amount will be for based on the expenditures that we have there. The next is the assessed value. This is the estimated assessed value that we have at this point in time, and then this calculates the mill levy, or the estimated mill levy, and then this shows the mill levy increase or decrease from the prior year. This is I've added a line here that just shows the estimated balance without a mill levy increase. This is just added to kind of give you a gauge of where you are, compare if the mill levy was to remain the same. And like I say, just kind of an easy way for you to see where we are at any given point in time. So, I am ready to go whenever you are.
Commissioners, I would hope that we might be able to start with, I think it's appropriate at this time for us to have some discussion amongst ourselves as to what our priorities are for the 2016 year. And I would hope that we would be able to start a budget discussion. So we've heard from all the department heads. We've had 36 budget hearings. We held a public hearing that was very, very well attended. I was very encouraged to see, you know, it really does make a difference when you have an overflowing room saying the Pledge of Allegiance. It just has a little bit stronger ring to it. And so that was a little bit something special to see earlier this week, to hear from the public as to things that they see as being priorities, and to educate the commissioners, and taking a moment to educate the commissioners on things that they see as priorities. For myself personally, when we, Commissioner Archer and I, came on the commission at the same time, we saw a priority being addressing our general fund balance as to addressing the overall health of the county. And we've really focused in on the last 2 years on addressing that general fund balance and getting it to a point to where it could be healthy, for not just now, but for the sustainable future. Having done that, it would be my position that we should really make a priority this year of addressing employee compensation, and which is line 65 on the graph. Our employees have, we have a very, very loyal group of employees that all understood the state that the county was in. They all, you know, rolled up their arm sleeves to get to work on this, and we could all make the county something that we could be proud of. And I think that as part of our compensation study, our staffing survey, that we're doing the study that we are doing to come back, I think that it would be appropriate for us to set aside an amount of money for future employee compensation, to be determined at a later point where that would go based upon that employee compensation study that we're doing and staffing survey that we're doing. Secondly, I would hope that we work to maintain our general fund balance to its healthy level. And finally, having heard from a number of the public, to not raise the mill levy or to hold it at a flat or nearly flat level should be a priority, in that while the economy is healthier, it is not healthiest. And so just kind of looking at those, and those would be my 3 priorities. Commissioner Bueller, do you have thoughts?
Well, going back to January 6th of 2015, we all believe made a commitment in the memo that was presented that day. And just to remind everybody, we agreed, in order to prepare for the 2016 budget and beyond, that we focus attention on employee retention by studying issues such as compensation, benefit levels, benefits designs, and conducting staffing analysis where appropriate. And so I think it's important to know, let others know, that we're following through with this. And I agree, I think a commitment to raising salaries is very important, again, based on the compensation study, and looking at where we need additional staffing, less staffing, all of those things. So that would definitely be a priority. I am cautious because while our reserves are healthy, and I don't want to see our mill levy increased either, with what is going on at the state level and the discussion of the cap and all those sorts of things, I think we need to be cautious in this budget. But I do think we have the ability now to do some increases with staff. So I would completely agree that we need to start with line 65.
And I also agree. I think we need to make a first step in implementing the compensation plan, and we don't know what the details of that are going to be, but we've made a commitment to that compensation plan. I also do not want to see any mill levy increase in property taxes this year, and I want to see our reserves stay the same or increase if we possibly can. So I'm in agreement with you. I think you put it very well, Mr. Chair, and I look forward to working through this budget and establishing the priorities that are important to this commission and the citizens of Shawnee County. So, thank you.
So, I guess you might note that this is one of those rare occurrences in government where you have 3 leaders that are in agreement on their priorities. And so that might be noteworthy for everybody here. On line 65, Director Greiner, I would move that we add $1,950,000 for future employee compensation. And as a motion.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion as to that request? Commissioner Archer?
Again, I think that's a good start, and we need to point out that that's actually about 3 times the amount we put aside for employee increases for 2015. So, yeah, I agree with that number also.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? It passes 3-0. Before we leave that area or go on to any further discussion, please remember this is a working budget. So while we have a commitment, any changes that we make is part of a working budget, and it's not done till it's done. But it is a commitment by the commissioners at this point as to the priorities for the county. So, commissioners, is there any further discussion that we would have for today, or are we ready to leave this for discussion, further discussion on Monday for the budget?
Continued on Monday.
Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
Is there any administrative communications to come before the commission today?
Commissioners Tom Block with Public Works and Solid Waste. I just wanted to make note that on our mill and overlay work, we our crews should be finishing the last lane of the overlay work for Southeast 45th Street today, and also today Venice Asphalt is beginning the milling work for Northwest 46th Street, and that should be completed tomorrow. And then our crews will begin providing the overlay for 46th Street beginning Monday. The recent rains have pushed us back a couple days. We were hoping to get it all done right before school started. We're probably going to go into Thursday or Friday, but we'll be providing a pilot car. The road will not, 46th Street will not be closed. We're going to be providing a pilot car to assist traffic through the work zone. But I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that is going on, and over the next week or so.
Thank you, Tom.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Department of Corrections. I wanted to come and give everybody a follow-up on the accreditation efforts of the Shawnee County Department of Corrections and as it applies to the Juvenile Detention Center. As I mentioned on Monday, auditors with the American Correctional Association came in to begin our audit and accreditation process for the Juvenile Detention Center. In that, we met with the auditors Sunday night to give a brief overview of our philosophies, our programs, our staffing, and things like that. And then they came in early Monday morning and didn't leave till yesterday at about 12:30. In this audit, there was approximately 402 standards. 32 of those were mandatory, which you had to be 100% compliant with, and the remaining you had to have 90%. These standards range from life safety, suicide prevention, water temperatures, food temperatures, hiring, salaries, physical plant programs, training, you name it. There was not any stones left unturned when it comes to this. This was a big learning experience for us in that it was a lot tougher than I thought. I've been through several accreditations with our medical and mental health, and so I thought that there was a lot of things that were ready to go, but this was a learning experience. But I guess numbers, when it comes down to everything, you know, the auditors, when they were there, said that, you know, it's not just the numbers that show what it is all about, and meaning is that the auditors came in, and when they left, the first thing they said was, is for a facility our size, which is a fairly small facility, that the number of programs and the cleanliness, professionalism of staff probably was the highest that they'd seen from several facilities they've been to. And we're talking, some people have been doing this for 17 years on the accreditation process. One of the auditors had mentioned that if they had a son or a daughter who ever got in trouble, that they would have felt good about having somebody in Shawnee County Department of Corrections, which I said, thank you. But I guess that, you know, the things that, this was, you know, when we started on Monday, and about 1 o'clock when our accreditation manager, Brandy Biltoff, who came in and she was in tears, I thought, well, that's not always a good sign. And there were some things that we needed to update or be a little bit more proficient in our files. So we were given the task of two things. Either we sit back and we say, okay, let's just get our files in order and let's reapply for accreditation, or what do we do as far as we go forward? Do we come together? So I rallied the troops. We went to an office. I rolled up our sleeves, and I guess my motivational speech maybe ranks right up there with the Miracle on Ice speech, I guess. I said we were not going to fail. And I told the staff that we've worked way too hard. We started this 15 years ago. This was a historical event for Shawnee County, and we were not going to fail. We were not going to just say, let's just get our files together and let's just go here and let's just see what happens next year. So getting home on Monday at 1 o'clock in the morning, including myself, it just wasn't just having staff delegated. We had a team approach as when they left, that the Department of Corrections met 100% of the mandatory standards, and then we had to meet 90% of the non-mandatory. We met 97% of those. It was true teamwork, and I was very honored to serve as the director to watch this group and all of us work together. And there were 11 that we were found that were not in compliance. Several of those that are not in compliance had to do with state law. For example, one of the standards would say that the juvenile detention center will not hold those who are here on probation violations. We hold those who are on probation violations. Because we hold kids, we're not in compliance. So unless we make a big stance to go to the legislature and change laws, there's some things we're just not going to be able to be in compliance with. But I felt good about those things because those were things I wasn't directly in control of. But this was a learning experience for us. This was one of the highest scores that they've given to a detention center. I was very proud about that. The work is not done. That they will file their report with ACA, and then in January in New Orleans, they will have the actual hearing, and our auditors will be with us the whole time. And so there will be a representative from the Department of Corrections that we will need to ask to go down there to go to the hearing. Our auditors said that they didn't believe there would be any reasons why we wouldn't receive accreditation with the numbers and the scores that we did receive. And again, I sent emails and met with staff yesterday. It was the staff. I was happy to hear the priority of compensation and the dedication and loyalty and support for staff. But this was a very good tribute to what they do at the Department of Corrections. I was very proud of them. So this was a very positive deal, and so now we have to have the waiting game to see what actually officially happens. But I expect and I'm confident we will receive full accreditation. So I wanted to let you know.
Brian, you haven't been the director of the jail, Department of Corrections, for that long. And I think it really speaks highly of you, knowing that you have come up through the ranks from the very bottom and now at the very top, and knowing what each piece of the Department of Corrections looks like. And so I want to commend you for your leadership at Department of Corrections to take this on, and knowing what it takes to rally the troops to get this done. So,
well, thank you.
Kudos to you as well.
Thank you.
Next, is there any other administrative communications? I see emergency management.
Morning, Commissioners. Dusty Nichols, Emergency Management. I just want to take a second and just kind of promote the National Night Out. I know Christy's here to do that tomorrow night and then Saturday of those events. But to kind of go along with that, I just want to mention nextdoor.com. If people aren't familiar with that, they ought to take a look at it. We joined it as far as Shawnee County Emergency Management, and our CERT team has joined that recently, and it's a real unique tool. It's set up by neighborhoods, and it really connects you to your neighborhood, and then Shawnee County and the city as well. So if you haven't taken a look at it, I encourage people to take a look at it. It helps with safety, security, neighbor, and getting to know your neighbors as well. So please take a look at it. It's pretty neat tool. So that's why.
Thank you.
Good morning, HR Cook, General Manager, Kansas Expo Center. I'm not sure how I'm going to top the jail report, other than the fact that I have something that could break out of the jail, and that's Jurassic Quest this weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we've got 60,000 square feet of life-size dinosaurs, of the over 50 dinosaurs in exhibition and land and arena. This event has not been in Topeka before. This is actually a very large event that just started out on a national tour. There are discounts for military and seniors. If you want to call the Kansas Expo Center box office or main office at 235-1986. For ticket prices, it starts on Friday at 3 o'clock. Also, Darius Rucker in concert, October 15th. Those tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So, Blizzard Bash is officially on sale. So,
Great.
we have more announcements coming. Thank you.
Good. Thanks, HR. Any other administrative communications? Commissioner Archer, do you have anything?
Oh, I just wanted to welcome Elaine Schwartz, who is my council member and is doing a good job. I still watch the council meetings every now and then just to appreciate where I am today. And I just wanted to say thank you for your service, Elaine. I invited all the city council members to attend county commission meetings, and I'm glad when we work together as a team. So that's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Bueller.
Invite you all out to Rossville. It's the annual Tall Corn Festival. Lots of activities going on, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So check out rossvillekansas.us on their website. They've got all the activities listed, so it's going to be tired on Monday, but ready to do budget. So.
Since Terry is still here at the back of the room, as part of the administrative communications and National Night Out, I know that we have a dedication on Saturday for a project that Terry's been working on for the better part of the last year. At Edgewater Park, which is in central Topeka, there was at one time a pool dedicated by Hiram Dillon, of one of the founding fathers and very integral to the part of the history of Topeka. And the pool was filled in during the 1950s during issues with polio, but the concrete ring for the pool remained. The Parks and Recreation Department over the last year has worked to restore and make a monument, the history of that park, the impact of Dillon family in Topeka. And as part of the National Night Out, there's going to be a dedication or rededication of that monument. And so it's an integral part of the neighborhood. It's very important to the neighborhoods and the neighbors that are there. And I look forward to being there on Saturday for that rededication. And so, Terry, thank you for your work and working with the Dillon family and the neighbors and the neighborhood that make this all come together and be positive. I don't have any other administrative communications. Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 6, executive session.
There is a need for an executive session for a period of, let's start with 20 minutes, on issues of personnel matters of non-elected personnel, consultation with an attorney for the board or agency which would be deemed privileged, and the attorney-client relationship, and preliminary discussions relating to the acquisition of real property.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? We are adjourned into executive session for a period of 20 minutes. Thank you. Try to time it that way. We are back from executive session. No action taken. We are adjourned.